Hello everyone and welcome back to Anupam Tech Talk. In today's episode, we are going to talk about something that affects every engineering team, Git branching strategy. Specifically, we will compare two common approaches, trunk-based development and release branch model. Which one should your team use? The answer depends on your release process, team size, automation maturity, and risk tolerance. So today, let's understand both approaches and learn how to make the right choice for your team. Let's start with why this matters. In any team with multiple developers working on multiple features, you need a strategy for managing code changes. How do you handle parallel development? How do you manage releases and hot fixes? How do you minimize merge conflict? How often can you deploy? Your branching strategy directly affects all these. Development speed, how fast can developers integrate their work? Release frequency, how often can you shift to production? Team collaboration, how easily can developers work together? Risk management, how do you control what goes to production? So, choosing the right strategy is an important engineering decision. Let's start with trunk based development. In this model, all engineers integrate their changes directly to shared, which is trunk, usually the main branch. Developers work on short lived feature branches, but they merge back to trunk frequently, ideally within hours or at most a day or two. Every commit to trunk triggers the CI pipeline. It builds, runs the full automated test suite, and if everything passes, the code is ready for the production. Key characteristic here, short-lived branches. Branches are living hours to a couple of days maximum. Frequent integration, multiple times per day, maybe. Small incremental changes. It's easy to review and test. Strong CI/CD. Automated testing is very critical in this case. Trunk is always releasable. Every commit could go to production. Now, let's look at the release branch model. In this model, you have long-lived release branches. Development happens on the main branch or develop branches. When you are ready to prepare a release, you cut a release branch, for example, release 1.0. This branch goes through a stabilization period such as bug fixes, testing, release preparation, while everyday feature development continues on the some other release branch. Once the release branch is stable, it goes to production. Key characteristic here, long-lived release branches can exist for weeks or months. Features worked in parallel. While one feature is stabilizing, a new feature continues in another release branch. Stabilization period, dedicated time for testing and bug fixes. Multiple versions, you can maintain release branches, have multiple versions such as 1.0, release branch 1.1, 1.2, 2.0, like that. And it can maintain simultaneously. Separation of development and release, clear boundary between the new work and the release preparation. So let's compare these two approaches side by side. Main integration. Trunk based had a frequent integration, sometimes multiple times per day. Release branches has less frequent integration, ties to a release cycle. Branch lifetime. Trunk, trunk based branches lived for hours or day. Release branches can live for weeks or months. Release trunk based enables frequent or continuous release. Release branches follow planned release schedule. CI/CD pipeline. Trunk based is a strong fit for CI/CD. Release branches can work with CI/CD but add additional complexity. Merge conflict. Trunk, trunk based usually has a lower conflict due to frequent integration. Release branches can accumulate more conflicts over time. Multiple versions. Trunk based makes it harder to maintain multiple versions. Release branches makes it easier. Best for trunk based favors speed and agility. Release branches favors stability and control. So let's make this concrete with real world example. Imagine a mobile banking application with several teams working on login, payments, profile, and notifications. With trunk-based development, all teams merge their changes to main branch daily. Incomplete features are hidden behind feature flags. When a feature is ready, it enabled and deployed immediately to production. With release branch model, teams work on the features throughout the month. At the end of month, you can cut release branch. That branch goes through 1 or 2 or 3 weeks of stabilization and testing. Once stable, you deploy from the release branch directly. Both approaches works. The question is which one fits for your need and your team. Here is an important point. Trunk based is not automatically better. It requires a significant investment. Good automated testing. Without it, trunk can become unstable. Strong CI/CD pipeline. Every commit needs to be validated. Feature flag to hide incomplete feature. Small, safe changes. Large changes break the model. Team discipline. Developers must merge frequently and keep trunk green always. And release branches are not automatically bad either. They make sense when you need long stabilization period for thorough testing, multiple supported versions for a different customer or regions, regulatory or controlled releases for compliance requirements, dedicated release testing separate from development. The right choice depends on your context. So, when should you choose each approach? Choose trunk based development when you have frequent deployment, daily or weekly releases planned, strong automation, mature CI/CD pipelines, and comprehensive testing, continuous integration culture, team comfortable with frequent merges, small incremental changes. Features can be broken into small pieces, fast feedback loops, need to get changes to users quickly. Choose release branch model when you have scheduled release, monthly or quarterly release cycle, multiple supported versions, needs to maintain different versions, longer stabilization, requires a dedicated testing time, complex release process, coordination across team or system, regulatory or compliance requirements, controlled release process. And this brings us to an important engineering mindset. Instead of asking which branching model is best, ask which model fits our release process, risk tolerance, team size, and automation maturity. Context matters. Team size and experience. Large teams may need more structure, release frequency requirement. How often do you need to ship to production? Testing and CI/CD maturity. Can you trust automated tests? Risk tolerance. How much risk can you accept? And compliance needs. Do you have regulatory requirements? Customer expectation. What do your users expect? This is an engineering leadership lesson. There is no universal best practice. There is only what's best for your specific context. Let's quickly summarize today's episode. First, branching strategy affects development, speed, release frequency, and team collaboration. Trunk-based development favors frequent integration and fast feedback. Release branches provides stronger release isolation and version control. Both approaches have trade-offs. Neither is universally better. CI/CD and automated testing are critical for either approaches to work well. And finally, choose based on your team's actual needs, not based on what's trending. The best branching strategy is the one that helps your team integrate and release safely. And that's it for today's episode. Choosing between the trunk based development and release branches is not about finding the best approach. It's about understanding your team's need, your release process, your automation maturity, and your risk tolerance. And I leave you with today's thoughts. The best branching strategy is the one that helps your team integrate the release safely. If you found this episode helpful, please like the video, subscribe to Anupam Tech Talk, and share it with someone who might find this helpful. I'll see you in the next episode where we will continue exploring practical engineering concepts. Thank you for watching.